This video shows you how to create new part designs. Pipe Server is running with the Enterprise license, but this demo applies to all the Pipe Server license types. You can create a new design part by selecting either the New Design button here or the New Design button up here. Selecting either of these brings up a new Part Design tab. The various windows are described here. Part Data, this specifies information about the part. Part Viewer, this is a 3D view of the part as it takes shape. Here's a list of the cuts and marking, and the lower area is for defining each cut on the part, and the top bar is for managing the overall part. In the Part Data section, I'll enter an outer pipe diameter. I can enter any value I want here, and as with all numeric input points, I can also enter equations. I can also select from a list of ASME scheduled drop-down sizes. We'll be incorporating other standards in the future. For wall thicknesses, I can again enter any value I want, but if I do use an ASME scheduled size for the pipe, then standardized wall thicknesses for that pipe diameter are offered in this drop-down. Length is automatically calculated by the end cuts that you define. The material type is a drop-down list that you can easily manage. We show more of this in another video on managing lists. The name goes here. Customer job and design groups are also manageable drop-downs that you can also modify. You can use these fields any way you want to best manage your parts. Next, I'll create one end cut, a miter. You need two end cuts for a part to take shape in the viewer, so for now the viewer just shows a cut with no part. Now I'll put a saddle on the other end. I have to move it down the pipe so it makes sense as a part. On the cuts list we can see my two cuts. When I click on a cut, the information about the cut shows up at the bottom. Note that I can pick cuts here on this list, or I can pick cuts up on the viewer. The X rotation rotates the cut about the part. And the Y value moves the cut up and down the part. Note that the parts do not have to start at 0. You can define them in the same way they are laid out in the drawings. On the miter, I'll change the miter angle, and then the bevel angle, and the changes will show up immediately in the part viewer. I'll turn on mate parts so you can see what happens when I modify the saddle mate diameter. Cut surface parameter defines where the pipe is intended to intersect the mate part. ID means your bevel edge is going to intersect correctly at the inner edge or inner diameter of the pipe. Here I'll show an outer diameter intersection. Next, I'll create a hole. The hole starts at 0 rotation about the pipe, X, and 0 distance down the part, Y, and I'll move it out and rotate it. Now I'm going to offset the hole so that it is too far off the pipe. When cut parameters do not define a proper cut, the system shows a sphere in place of the cut and shows you the error in yellow text in the viewer. Similarly, improperly defined end cuts will show up as a red ring. In this section, I can add a cut name and any specific notes about the cut. I've added a few more cuts to discuss cut ordering. The number here is the unique ID for this cut. This number comes from SQL and never changes. The number to the right of this is the cut order. Machines, right-handed or left-handed, always cut from the tailstock toward the chuck, which is at 0. Therefore, when you order your cuts, you typically order the cuts from farthest out on Y and move toward the least Y-start cut. In the designer, you don't need to be concerned with the absolute position of the machine. That's taken care of at the machine. You can view cuts on this list by cut order, by Y-start on the pipe, by name, or by cut type. I can reorder cuts by dragging the cut to the order that I want it. Note that this checkbox here changes to checked to indicate that the cuts have been manually ordered. I can uncheck this or select this button here to automatically reorder the cuts by their Y-start locations. Here is a pressure vessel with numerous holes. I can expand and collapse my cuts and use the auto expand feature to more easily work with my list of cuts.